my toss up right now is do I leave Tyler Reddick in there and say he's my guy, or do I pick? I gotta go with Denny Hamlin, right?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go on the phone. California's Kevin Harvick does it. Tree making right there. You're the man.
Welcome to Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour, presented by NASCAR and Fox. I'm Kevin Harvick, and somewhere on the other side of this room is Kaitlyn Vincie and Mamba Smith, who are in studio. I'm at my foundation's golf tournament today here in Mooresville, North Carolina. So I have to go out and attempt to play golf today. But we always have our yearly Kevin Harvick Foundation golf tournament, Harvick for Heroes, actually, with PGA of America's putting on the golf event for I don't know how long. I mean, we've been putting on a golf event for several years. So weather's perfect today, and we're gonna have some fun here. So I get to enjoy this show from the men's locker room here. So how's it going?
Nice.
How's it going in the studio?
We miss you. You know how I feel about it when you're not here in person and you're only on Zoom.
Miss is a very strong word. Your energy is not here though.
Mamba doesn't know what to do with himself.
I don't know what to do with my
chair.
hand sitting in your chair.
He's like totally thrown off by the fact that he's sitting in a different spot in here. By the way.
Well, I mean, I have my eye on you today, Mamba. So make sure you don't spill anything in my chair.
Well, that's right. No guarantees, huh?
Yeah, no guarantees.
And we can't even talk about Kevin's fix. We can't really see him.
Yeah, do you have good shoes on today? Or no?
I have golf shoes on. Look, I'm mobile, so you know. Look.
I didn't know you.
I've got Pumas on today, so you're happy.
I am happy. I didn't know that you could get your. I didn't know you were that flexible, to be honest.
Yeah, that was impressive. He just popped that leg right up. There you go.
Some of us age better than others, so I just have to.
That's fair.
Yeah,
he's very limber. That's good.
Have to stretch up.
Good for him. Yeah. Well, welcome in everybody. Of course, as Kevin said, episode 65 here of Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour. We encourage you guys to continue subscribing on YouTube wherever you get your podcasts. Rate the show 5 stars. Leave a review. We have a lot to discuss here after the elimination race at the Charlotte Roval that took place yesterday, and a new round is upon us. The round of 8. The field is set. We'll preview that. Preview Las Vegas. Mamba, you have your sips as always. But Kevin, once again, it was the Kyle Larson show. We saw that team dominate a couple weeks ago at Bristol. Now, once again, same song, same dance. The team really executed yesterday in Charlotte.
Yeah, and I was at the race yesterday and just observing and watching. Went on the track walk on Friday to just kind of get a good reference on the racetrack and the changes that they made with the racetrack. I thought that the changes to the racetrack really added an element to the passing and everything that happened in turn 7. We saw a lot of action over there, but the guy that it didn't phase at all was Kyle Larson. We saw SVG kind of take off from the pole position there and take the lead, and in that first pit cycle swapped all that around. Shane had some trouble on the pit stop, and they waited a little bit to pit. Larson took the lead right there and never looked back for the rest of the day. So just a flawless day for the 5 car. And, I think as you look at everything else that transpired with all the chaos, just another shot fired by the 5 with their dominance of things that they've been able to accomplish this season, and to be able to put on the performance that they had yesterday while everybody else was battling. It was almost a boring day for Kyle Larson. You heard him say afterwards in his post-race interview, but tough to see for the competitors to see Kyle Larson in this form going into the last 4 races of the season and going to some of his racetracks that he's had success on as well throughout the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the best driver in the world is peaking at the best time of the season, and he's dominating races right now. And it's kind of crazy the way he's doing it. And to Kevin's point, he just he got out of the car. He didn't even look like he was sweating.
He didn't. I noticed that as well, yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's just kind of a nice day out Sunday.
Nice day, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Bro,
just a casual Sunday drive.
Just paddling their asses, and like it was so easy. So, that team, Cliff Daniels and Kyle Larson, they have it clicking on all cylinders. And this is the worst thing for the competition, because when they do, they can really roll him off. And he has a quiet 6 wins on the season now.
I know.
It's weird because he's 3 more than anyone else, and you wouldn't think it was like that.
He had 10 wins the year he won the championship. Kevin, do you think he's definitely emerged as the favorite right now?
I think so. We haven't seen anybody else dominate like Kyle Larson has throughout really the whole season. I mean, we've seen some guys had some good weekends and put together pieces of races, but I don't know about you guys, but I can't think back to a race where anybody else has dominated other than Kyle Larson for the most part, consistently being able to lead laps and do the things that he does on all the different styles of racetracks. And so when you look at, the next race at Las Vegas and you look at Homestead, Martinsville is kind of one of those racetracks where I think, there's more contenders than you'd probably put at the next 2 racetracks. But, I think it leans into the traditional mile-and-a-half racetrack, traditional short track at Martinsville as we go into this, third round of the playoffs. So Kyle Larson won at Las Vegas at the beginning of the year. When you look at Homestead, you have to look at Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick being able to run the wall. So I don't see. I mean, there's always a path to elimination, but I don't know that there's going to be somebody that's going to eliminate Kyle Larson, off the racetracks that are on the schedule, other than just circumstances and some sort of catastrophic mistake based upon the performance that they've had all year.
He just mentioned,
He was my pick to win the whole thing, but I don't even remember who you picked.
Oh, you don't? I picked
Ryan Blaney.
I got Blaney. We're going back to back. But I was worried. We talked when the playoffs started. I did feel like the 5 was going to be the biggest competition, and he most certainly is. And someone that needed a shot in the arm was Tyler Reddick in that 23-11 group. They kind of they weren't as fast, and then they had the broken toe link that they had to fix, but they were able to rebound, and I think that is important for them getting some more speed for this next little run here.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, when you look at I think when you talk about the speed though, I think when you look at the beginning of the race and you put Reddick in that position to win the first stage and do the things that they did, and then they got themselves back in the pack and wound up getting tore up, but. Let's not forget who finished second, because it's Christopher Bell. And I watched the broadcast, I watched the race live, and it's typical Christopher Bell not being talked about, not being shown, and he comes home second. He's had in the playoffs, he's had a little over a 6th place average finish in these races. And at some point, you have to be able to take him seriously from where everybody else sits, because he's second in the points with the reset with 13 points up on the cut line. But I think when you look back at Las Vegas at the beginning of the year, these are their types of racetracks, and they had some trouble there at that particular track. But I think when you look at the speed, I don't think that is going to be the issue. I think that Las Vegas has been a great racetrack, not only for Kyle Larson, but for Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick. So Reddick he was kind of scattered in the first round. He was probably, a third or 4th place car yesterday until they got themselves, chasing the points, which they had to do to chase the points at the beginning of the race. And I think he was right behind SVG and I know he was right behind SVG and Kyle Larson there at the beginning. So, but when you look at Bell and Las Vegas, I believe they'll have the speed to win there. I think he, obviously winning the race last year at Homestead with everything that he's been able to accomplish at those racetracks. I think those 2 racetracks will be strong for him. And we obviously know that he could be strong at Phoenix if he makes it that far. But it blows me away that he continuously just gets overlooked, and he knows it. And sometimes I guess sometimes that might be a good thing because of the limited amount of pressure that goes with that type of situation. But it's not something that, in my opinion, that Christopher Bell backs away from. I don't think that pressure scares him. I think that it allows them to fly under the radar. But I also believe that they deserve some of the headlines and things that they've been able to do throughout the playoffs with the finishes that they've had. But then again, we know what this playoff system is built on, and that's being able to win races, and that's what Kyle Larson and his team do.
Christopher Bell currently 13 above the line. And, that team, Adam Stevens, his crew chief, the guys on the team, a lot of them were with Kyle Busch back in the day and have won championships before. So it's a really strong unit as a whole. But to Kevin's point, they're always just kind of quietly going about their business. No one's really identifying them as a favorite at any point in time, but it seems to work for them, obviously.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the other thing about it is, to not a lot of the time, but like last year, he was doing walk-off wins to advance.
Yeah.
Like he was doing walk-off things, which was really exciting and still wasn't getting any respect for doing it at the highest pressure. Now he's like ahead of the curve and they're like pointing their way in ahead of time and accumulating a really good runs throughout the playoffs and still not getting any credit for it. So, but it's time. Right now he's Mr. Final Four.
There you go.
In the last 2 years.
It's a good nickname. Here on Happy Hour, we're going to give Christopher Bell the credit he deserves. We're going to give him the attention. Okay, so we're going to go through a lot of these playoff guys in more detail, but I want to go to one of the biggest news that came out of the race, of course, yesterday, is the 48 car of Alex Bowman failed post-race inspection for the car being too light. NASCAR obviously spoke with the media saying, it went through the OSS, it went through the underbody scanning system. They kind of walked through all the different process they go through after the race, determined they were disqualified, so Joey Logano is in. What did you think when you heard this, Kevin, and as you were seeing it unfold?
I was really surprised because we don't hear of weight penalties virtually ever. And, I think back to some of the conversations and some of the things that used to happen with the car when you'd have the crew guys taking the radio in and out, and they put the actual radio, take the actual radio out as it was going to inspection, and they put a tungsten radio back in, and they have steering wheels that were made of tungsten, or, and put in the car to try to be able to get away with some of that weight. I don't know what the scenario is here. Obviously, everybody's holding their cards pretty tight to their vest just because of the fact that they know there's an appeal coming, I would assume, unless Hendrick thinks that it's not something that they can win. So the one thing that I will tell you, and I watched it in person yesterday, was the 48 car hit one of those blue turtles and launch up into the air a fair amount of distance. So you never know if how these things are going to go down. We've seen some of these appeals won, if there is one, as they go through the process. But you get a percentage, so it's like 17 pounds that you get off the total weight of the car. NASCAR lets them make sure the car is full of gas. They let them fill the engine system back up with water, so they give them every chance that they can to make weight. So unless something fell off the car, it seems like there could be something to the car, whether it was intentionally light or not, is yet to be seen, because neither side is going to talk about it until the process is over. So, I think it was a heck of a break if that's the way that it all turns out for Joey Logano to be able to put himself in. He had a decent day yesterday at the Roval. They scored some stage points and wound up with a decent finish, which, these scenarios are just very unique. And I think that when you have that second wind, and you heard Joey Logano talk about being in the Owners' Championship after the race. So we do have a couple of different championship fights going on, not only for the Drivers' Championship, but the Owners' mix of points was a little bit different before this all shook out. So will be interesting to see how the rest of the week progresses, to see if the 48 penalty stands. But tough battle to be able to fight, not making weight.
So we are filming this on Monday, so we don't know the future yet of the appeals. We know they're going to have an expedited appeals process for the 48 team. And regardless of the outcome, say they win this, it's a huge distraction for the team, though, and it's going to throw off the rhythm and cadence of their week. This is really kind of the last thing you want to be dealing with, right?
Yeah, well, you're trying to do two things at once. You're trying to prepare as if you're going to be in the playoffs,
right,
but everyone is like, are we not? So it is a distraction, and you're worried about how to go about the appeals process, get all the information that you can, and you got to make your case. I've never been a part of those processes, but I know that you have to, bring all the evidence as to why whatever is not what it is to win your case, right? So that's a tough deal for them, and it sucks because the 48 was putting a really good run together. They did everything that they needed to do. Alex Bowman, in the midst of all the rumors of him losing his ride, he just blocked it out and went and did his job. And for him, he deserves to be in there. Mistakes happen, and it's the worst time to have a mistake like this. But we'll see what happens. And if the weight got shifted and moved around, I can imagine because he hit that turtle, Kevin, and he Dukes of Hazzard that thing. So I can see why something would have fallen off.
Yeah, it's these cars don't carry a lot of weight on them anyway. They're like tanks. So I think when you look at that jump that he had through the last chicane right there, he hit and misjudged the corner and hit the first part of that blue turtle and wound up jumping that thing like he was at a rally race, wound up landing in the ground and touching the outside wall. So not only did he do it, but Daniel Suarez did that. I will say this. I think as you look at the car preparation with all the logistics and everything that they have, I think that that car should be pretty much ready to go to Las Vegas, as it'll probably have to leave tomorrow to go to the racetrack on Tuesday. So to travel out west and get parked in time. But you talk about momentum, and we've talked about momentum so many times on this show, and everything is up and down, and you talk about all the things that Alex and his team have been through. And they, like you said, they've had such a good run in the playoffs, being consistent and putting themselves in a position to gather the points and do the things that they needed to do. And it's such an up and down sport, though. You have to be able to take things like this and put them aside and prepare the car the exact same way. And that's that's more difficult than it is to talk about when you actually have to put that into play in person. And just to be able to race in championship form every week, you have to be able to take controversy. You have to be able to take criticism. You have to be able to keep the highs from keeping you progressing to try to find something new. Even though you're running good, you have to work like you're not in order to keep that progression going forward, to consistently be ahead. So Hendrick always obviously does a great job at that. And I think that if there's any organization that can take the bad news and get it spun around and fix the problem and explain the problem, it will be Hendrick. We've seen them win appeals before, get them changed with the appeals process, but we'll just have to wait and see how all this plays out.
So that's the story for the 48. On the flip side of this, Joey Logano. I mean, what do you think the team approaches for them? Because by all measures, they're in the postseason still. So that's just kind of a unique dynamic at play with these two teams, the 48 and the 22.
It really is. And that 22 team, they've been in positions before where they've been in the playoffs, out of the playoffs, and been able to perform. I think when you look at the 22 car on the 1.5 mile racetracks in general, they obviously haven't been as good as what they need to be compared to the Hendrick cars and the Chevrolets, the Gibbs cars, especially at Las Vegas. We saw them not run great there. I think when you look at the Fords in general that are left with Blaney and Logano, Blaney is definitely going to be the pick. But I can tell you this: if they do have anything that's better, Las Vegas has been a place that the Penske cars have run well. I don't see them going to Homestead and winning a race. I think if they're going to go to any of the three racetracks and run well, it's going to be Martinsville because of the short track system and program that they have had this year. So for Logano, I can't imagine going home from the race and being done with the event, thinking that you're out of the playoffs, to all of a sudden getting that call and say, "Hey, we're in, guys. Let's go do this." So it's what a roller coaster of emotions for everybody.
And then get another call being like, "Oh, sorry,
yeah,
you're out."
I know, it's
too,
wild.
Right? Like that's so crazy. But you're right, Kevin. Vegas has treated Penske and the 22 specifically so well. They're going to be, I would imagine they're going to be good there, regardless if they're in the postseason still or not. And the 12, you look at Homestead, the last couple of years at Homestead, it's been a really strong track for them. So this is a good lineup of racetracks for them, but it's also a good lineup for racetracks for Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick. So,
well, it's actually really good for Denny Hamlin because I was looking at his numbers, and he has 1 win at Vegas, 5 at Martinsville, and 3 at Miami. Your original pick, Kevin, Denny Hamlin, he made it through to the next round, and I would say he's probably going to be one of the strongest based on those numbers at these tracks.
I
Different
think
car,
that
but
yeah, when you look at Denny and you listen to his interview and everything that happened in the race yesterday with the 45 running into him, having the damage with the car, having the 45 get in the playoffs and having the 11 car get in the playoffs, you could really hear the sense of relief that came from Denny Hamlin, because when you hear him talk about those first 2 rounds of races and the dynamic that comes with all the unique racetracks that they had to go to, and I feel like they're gonna run good at Vegas, but I just don't know that they have had the speed at that particular racetrack that the 5 and the 45 have had. And if you go back to the beginning of the year when we were at Las Vegas, I mean, we all felt that Tyler Reddick had the fastest car, and we felt like Kyle Larson, I mean, we didn't feel like it. He did. He went and dominated, most of the day and wound up putting the car in victory lane. But we felt like Tyler Reddick had the fastest car. He just made some decisions at the end of the race and didn't wind up going to victory lane. So when you look at Vegas and you look at Homestead, you're going to have to run up next to the wall. Well, guess what? The 2 guys that are the best at that are going to be Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, and I think Christopher Bell is very good at that as well. I just, I think that Denny will have good speed. I just don't know that he's going to have that dominant speed that the couple guys that we talked about are capable of actually having.
Yeah, I gotta give him some credit, Denny Hamlin some credit here. I've been asking, where's the dog, where's the fight in this guy? And I saw it for the first time, not only all playoffs, but maybe since the penalty from Michigan. He had damage. He figured out how to make the car still quick. He was passing cars, because before the damage, Kevin, he was really running like 25th, like running 25th. Right. And then he got the damage, and I don't know what they were able to fix or figure out, but it was like a light switch, and he started going to the front and drove to the top 10. So I think that probably bodes well for them and their mentality. We're talking about that mentality.
The old mentality.
Having the right mentality going for the round of 8.
Well, it's definitely I would tell you that the mentality that they have is in a much better place than it was 6 weeks ago, and just listening to his tone of voice and the confidence that he exerts for these racetracks, and when we go to Martinsville, you will have to deal with Denny Hamlin, and we know his success there and the things that he can do at Martinsville. So I expect him to run good at Vegas, and I expect him to run good at Homestead. But I just don't know that they will have the dominant speed that is capable out of that 5 car. And I think if they're capable of it, but we just haven't seen it lately. So you have to show back up and have that dominant speed in order to say, okay, we can do this. And it's all about doing this at the right time and being able to find that mojo. We saw Ryan Blaney do it last year. You find that mojo at the right time, and it could lead you to a championship. So that's what needs to happen in this round. We look at the last round. Look at William Byron, right? Like, I picked him to not even go through the next round. The guy goes in and scores a ton of points, locked in before the last race. That's how quick it can change. I mean, they're all capable of that, to be able to swing that momentum and score that amount of points. So it's all a matter of who gets hot that's left standing right now.
Speaking of hot, I do want to touch on Tyler Reddick again in a little more detail in terms of his race yesterday, because he was the stage 1 winner, but he did have damage to his car after an incident there in turn 7. But watching him trying to chase down other drivers to make his way in on the points, it was really impressive. It was a heck of a drive by him. What did you think of what you saw to Tyler Reddick?
Well, I loved how they performed under pressure. And I think when I look at that, I'm like, where is that all the time? Right? Like, where is that urgency all the time? Like, I want to see that from lap 1. We saw him in practice, have a little spin out there, getting going. But, that urgency and that communication and the things that they had when they had to have it, how do you find that and make that just be the norm? Yeah. That's really what, that last piece of the puzzle, to be able to do that outside of when you need to do that, is really what takes guys to the next level. And that's really what I'm waiting on from Tyler Reddick, is how does he find that extra gear every lap to be able to go and put on that show, even when he's not in need of it.
Yeah, I mean, first off, the wreck that he had, that could have been huge for multiple. And Kevin, I really have no idea how he was able to put the car on the nose like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how that happened. It looked kind of like a sprint car wreck with the two back tires kind of in a lock, and then you get flipped up. So that was crazy to me. But his resilience was huge. I also loved MJ on the box.
I did
MJ
too.
on the box is in Billy Scott's ear, like he's a crew, like on the crew, and I love seeing that. Then after, Bubba hasn't been a great road racer either. He has a good day, and they're walking down pit road, and Michael Jordan is just ear to ear grinning.
Mm-hmm.
Bubba has a top 10. Tyler Reddick's in the next round. It was a gritty performance by 23XI. Love it.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's always cool to see Michael Jordan's reactions and just
so cool.
His presence. I know we should be used to it by now, but he is very involved with the team, which is cool to see. Okay, so that was the Charlotte Roval. Now we are moving on to the round of 8, and the first race is Las Vegas. Before we kind of dive into this round and what we're expecting of people, who was your biggest surprise, Kevin, that didn't advance? And actually, I mean, it's kind of a hard question to answer because we don't know for sure who's going to be in it, but based on where it stands right now.
Yeah. Well, I think when you look at the 99, you look at the 2, as we sit here today, I mean, it would definitely be the 48 just because of the fact of everything that they put together. But we don't know that that'll be the actual way that it goes on. So if it's not the 48, I would tell you that it's the 22, just because of the fact that, you expect those guys to compete. But, the 48 car is definitely put together the best string of races that they have in a while. And I think it's a little bit of the Christopher Bell effect with the 48 team, and not really being noticed with the things that they're doing and the success that they have had. So I think if it stands as it is today, it'll definitely be the 48, because he's been contending up in the front of the pack and scoring a lot of points. So I think when I look at Briscoe, I think we all expected that fairy tale to come to an end. Suarez, not a surprise. Cindric was in position at Talladega, but not a surprise to be out. So it's that Alex Bowman, Joey Logano scenario that would be the surprise for me, whoever it winds up being.
You agree with that?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's pretty much, I've been hard on the pushing for the 14 because I wanted to see the Magic, but the Magic ran up. It really ran up at Kansas when they got in that big hole. Once they got in the hole in Kansas, it was like, all right, we have to win Talladega. Did win Talladega. They unloaded, and they were pretty much garbage all weekend, so that sucked for them. And Cindric and Suarez, like they should be proud of them making it as far as they did, period, because they won their race so early on in the season. They really didn't have a whole lot of speed throughout the year.
It's true.
And found it in the playoffs to compete. So that was good for them. Cindric, he made some big strides. I felt like he put himself in position at the Roval to potentially win if there was a late race caution and he was going to be in the mix there. But it would be the 48 of Alex Bowman or the 22 of Joey Logano. Like, whichever one of those two guys don't make it, that's who I'm most
Such a strange
about.
situation.
It's weird.
I don't even know how
We're
to
talking about
approach
this on a Monday.
We'll
so
talk
it's
about
like-
this, next week when we actually know what's going on. So the complexion of this next round, Kevin, we obviously go to the 1.5 mile racetrack of Vegas, then we're Homestead, Miami, short track of Martinsville. What do you like this round? Do you like the way these tracks line up? What do you think the challenges lay ahead for the teams?
Well, it's definitely more of a NASCAR traditional round with 3 ovals. When you look back at Watkins Glen and the Roval being in those 2 rounds previously, that really changes things. And then you throw Talladega in there. So it was a very unique 2 rounds of races that you had to go to all these different styles of racetracks. And this one's more straightforward on paper, but when you look at Las Vegas, it's definitely going to be a racetrack where you need to run high. The weather is going to be cool out there for this particular weekend. So it's, cool for this time of year. So mid 70s. And so when I look at that, I look at speed from Las Vegas, and it's going to be a place that wears the tires out, and you're going to have to run a unique blend of lines, and I think that you have to have a versatile car to get through traffic. If it winds up being at the top of the racetrack, or if it winds up being at the bottom of the racetrack, you're going to have to be able to maneuver your car in places that other people aren't, in order to get through lap traffic and get through the field, or whatever that case may be. So it's Vegas is unique with the bumps in turns 1 and 2. You have to run the bottom or the middle of the racetrack. Your car has to go through the bumps well, but it's a super fast racetrack that has some fall off. Homestead, you're going to have to run the wall, and we documented earlier who we think are the best at running the wall and able to make that speed. So Martinsville is, we expect the Hendrick cars to go run well. We expect Denny Hamlin to go run well at Martinsville. So you have more traditional style racetracks, but still very unique in the fact that they're mile and a half racetracks, or racetracks that you have to be able to control the fall off in your car, be able to run the bottom of the racetrack at Vegas and run the top. Homestead, you're going to have to run the top, and you're going to have to run right next to the wall. And Kyle Larson and Reddick will be the best at that.
Yeah, no, I love this round. I love this round because the first 2 races, it is traditional as to what we typically have. The first 2 races, Vegas and Homestead, you're you got to be with it. You are so on edge, and you are pinpointing, like driving they with the little scalpel that the doctors use, like you're not using a sledgehammer here, you're using the scalpel to be right on the edge and make sure you don't step over that line. And these guys are going to be driving with so much precision, and I think that's the Vegases and the Homesteads. You add the pressure of not stepping over the line, not hitting the wall. I think this is why these guys are the best drivers in the world, because for 400 miles, they're going to be within an inch of the wall and not hitting it, or just leaning up against it and making speed. So these 2 tracks are really fun to watch. There's a lot of different grooves, and you just be raw speed. You just gotta be fast, man. And whoever has the biggest cojones will probably come out with the best result, because you can't be scared of it.
Kevin, you mentioned earlier the fact that obviously the cars need to leave by Tuesday. It is a West Coast race going all the way out to Nevada. Is that a little unique for the teams because it's such a quick turnaround? I know a lot of the guys typically have Mondays off. Everyone is working today. It just does add a different little bit of an element to the week for the teams of the West Coast race.
I think one thing that people don't really understand are the logistics about this sport, and being able to have your cars prepared sometimes the week ahead of time and get your cars to the West Coast. The teams live in a logistical nightmare. They, for the most part, travel private. They have a couple truck drivers. Some have used 3 truck drivers in order to minimize that time, in order to get your stuff from the East Coast to the West Coast, from the West Coast back to the East Coast. And you got to go from Las Vegas to Homestead. So it's logistically is an absolute nightmare to be able to put all that together and be able to do it as efficiently as possible. But most all these guys will have their cars prepared. They go in today and do the final preparation with everything that they need to do, and finish that up tomorrow. But most everything will have to be loaded up by tomorrow night to get the cars out there in time. And so it's it's definitely tough on the teams. But at this particular point, they're, especially the guys that are racing for a championship, they're the guys that are in there digging, and it's no problem to show up on work at work on Monday morning this week, especially after they've been in Charlotte. So they get that nice week at home, and then they have to come right in Monday morning and get their stuff ready quicker than normal to send it to the West Coast.
I mean, it's North Carolina, Nevada, Florida, and then we go to Virginia and then back to Phoenix.
This last stretch is pretty intense.
This is not easy work, people. Like, we love it here. We love this stuff, but this is not for everybody.
Yes. Yeah. You definitely have your work cut out for you. Okay. So guys, as it stands right now, the drivers below the line are Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, and Joey Logano. So of that group, who do you think maybe will be feeling the pressure the most as they embark on this new round? Well, I guess I should say, from that group, who impressed you the least from this round we just had?
Yeah, well, I think from the round we just had, I mean, it's still, I still think that Denny Hamlin was still the least impressive. I think he got, they got lucky at Talladega, and you got to have some luck, and they haven't had a lot of great luck. So to get some good luck, I think put that on them put them on their way to making it to the third round here. So I think this gives them a reset. I think that they still have the most pressure on them to go out and perform and do the things that they need to do on tracks that they think are going to be good for them. But I think when you look at William Byron being able to put himself in a position that they seem to be back in form. Kyle Larson, he just continues to show you. Christopher Bell continues to show you. So, there are guys that have shown speed, and Chase Elliott, they put together a good round as well over, but it's consistent, right? Like, who are the guys that are going to be able to go out there and win? I still think that Reddick can go out there and win one of these first two races. I don't know that he's going to go, if he doesn't put himself in a good position going into Martinsville. I think they'll be in trouble because that's just not a track where we expect Tyler Reddick to go and dominate. But I think being able to put that car up against the fence, so it really kind of leans into giving Tyler Reddick a good chance at Las Vegas and at Homestead. So they got to get it done in the first two races. So it's kind of a toss up for me between Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin.
Okay, what do you say?
Yeah, no, I think for me, it's Denny Hamlin. They didn't really have it. And they just, I don't know, it was weird. It was weird watching them at Talladega. It was like a carbon copy of Atlanta, another drafting track where it's like, we're not going to be up towards the front. But you need to have luck. And I think, the first round was about executing. I think this round is about winning. Period. Yeah. Like, I think you had to be aggressive last round, right? The round of 12, you had to be aggressive. This one, you got to win. There's three tracks, right? So 3 people can win. 3 different winners can go in. Someone has to make it in on points.
Yep.
If a playoff driver wins every race, and to this point, we haven't seen that yet. So if I'm like Chase Elliott, if I'm the 9 group, I'm worried about the 9 group just because, to Kevin's point, they've had a good playoff, but it's been consistent. It hasn't been like raw speed. And I think in this round, you got to assume that you got to go off and win a race.
Yeah, someone could know on Sunday that they're going to the championship 4.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. But we do this every time we have a new round reset. We kind of determine who will be the next ones moving on. So early predictions for the Champ 4, Kevin.
I think I have some notes here. I think for me, William Byron, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and Tyler Reddick. I think
I like that.
Yeah. I think that Reddick is going to be able to get it done on one of these 2 racetracks. And I don't see Logano and Blaney having the speed. Chase Elliott has been very consistent and had quality, good finishes, but I just haven't seen that dominant performance out of those 3 guys. And Denny Hamlin's, I think he's the wild card. I know he's my championship pick, but I think it's going to be tough for him. I think it's going to be tough for him if they don't win Martinsville. I think they're going to be okay. I think so. My toss up right now is do I leave Tyler Reddick in there and say he's my guy, or do I pick? I got to go with Denny Hamlin, right?
You don't use your pick, and I offered you the olive branch a few weeks ago. You didn't want it, but that didn't work. I can't go against my pick, so I have to. I'm going to take Reddick out. I'm going to put Denny Hamlin in because he's my pick, but I'm not 100% confident in it.
Yeah.
No, you're not. I don't even think he's 20% confident in it.
He's just oscillating there back and forth. Okay, mine's Larson, Bell, Byron, and Blaney. I do think Ryan Blaney will be able to make it to the Champ 4 again.
Okay.
I just see them finding some magic like they did a year ago.
Yeah.
What you got?
I mean, I'm not too far away. I mean, obviously, I'm
Larson.
12 and 5. And then it's hard to go against Christopher Bell. I really don't want to.
I know.
I really don't want to go against him. I think I'm going to go Christopher Bell because he's just been able to do it.
One more.
He's bad at math. He's bad at math.
Hey, calm down. I'm gonna do this. If the 48, if the 48 is in the postseason still, I'm putting him in the final 4.
That is
he's not.
I mean, could you not get out of your 4th pick any more bullshit way than you just got out of it?
Wait.
Blah, blah, blah. Pick somebody who's in there right now.
Okay. I'm gonna go.
You knew that was not going to go over well with
I
him.
thought I was gonna be slided in there. I'm gonna go with William Byron. So it's Larson, Bell, Byron, and Blaney too.
We have the exact same.
I
then.
know. I
Yeah, we're the
agree with
same.
you. It's for me. It's a toss up with Reddick.
Tough.
It's tough
It is.
because they just they haven't.
Yeah, but a few weeks ago we were talking about how Reddick was doing nothing for us.
Right. That's why it's I mean, Byron had a way better round.
Yeah.
Yeah,
First one to
and
walk
Reddick
in.
is still not. I mean, he hasn't done anything, but there's two racetracks that are just Tyler Reddick style racetracks, and ran well at Vegas at the beginning of the year, and you see that determination at the end of the Roval. Man, if they can show back up with just that edge to them that you have to go out and take it and not just wait around for it, then they're going to have it. He's going to have a shot at Homestead. I can almost guarantee that because of the style of racetrack that the way that you have to run that racetrack. So it's just a matter of how they show up, and really it's tough when you get to the round of 8 because all 8 of these guys can put together something to make it happen.
Yeah. And I mean, at this point in the year too, it's just everything has to be going perfectly. Your pit crew, your strategy. I mean, this is the round where you really don't have any leeway.
No.
This is crunch time.
You got to go
at this
win.
point.
You got to show up with that dog in you. If you ain't showing up
Got
with that
that
dog,
dog.
you're going to be in trouble.
Exactly. We can't wait to see how it's all going to unfold. You won't be in Vegas, so,
No, I
but
won't.
Kevin will.
Kevin will.
What are you doing out there?
I'm
Kevin?
going. Yeah, I'm going to Vegas Wednesday morning.
Excited.
I'm going to go out there and race. We're actually racing at the Bull Ring on Friday night. So I'm going to run
Nice.
the super late model race on Friday night at the Bull Ring right next to the big track. And Keelan's going to run the Legend Cars. So we have a Cars Tour West race out there. So it's the first time I've been able to run one of the Cars Tour West events. And that'll be the second race in the super late model this year. So I'm really excited to go out there. I went to Nashville last week and tested with the Rackley War guys in the super late model. They're taking care of my super late model going forward. So that'll be fun to go out there. I've never raced at the Bull Ring. Well, I guess I have raced at the Bull Ring, but it was before they reconfigured it, and as Keelan tells me, it was in a different century.
He's not wrong.
Yeah. So I raced there in I think 1995. So it's been a minute.
That's awesome, though. I know those West Coast fans will be so excited to see Kevin Harvick back behind the wheel.
Yeah, he raced in there the late 1900s.
No, man. I had to get an old guy mentioned here today.
Kevin, real quick.
I'm used to it. I live it.
Yeah, he's fine. It's cool. Hey, real quick, there'll actually be something really cool out there that I know you don't know about. So Blaine Perkins is racing Vegas, and he is from Bakersfield, California as well. And he has a special scheme that Tyler's going to drop in here at some point, but he has a 29-year-old Goodwrench car that he's throwing back to.
Yeah.
I got someone DM me that this morning, and they wanted me to make sure that they, I told you about that. So it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, here it is.
Here it
Look
is.
at that.
Yeah, you look that GM Goodwrench scheme. That was one of those classic schemes that everybody kind of those iconic schemes that you remember. But that was kind of the way forward, I guess, in 2003, 4, 5, 6 in that era of Goodwrench cars to get away from the all black car, but not be so Goodwrench Earnhardt style car, and that was what we wound up with. So I've got all the original renderings of what they wanted that car to be, and what an interesting time that we went through with going from 2001, 2 into 3 with the paint schemes and what was right and what was not offensive to the Earnhardt fans and what was trying to set a new path forward with branding yourself and the car. So that was an interesting time, but I really like that scheme, and obviously it's cool to see something recognizing that scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If they're throwing it back to you, that means you are old, right?
Yeah.
I guess if you
Or cool. One of the
Or
other.
Oh, now you're
cool.
jumping
Yes.
off bandwagon too. Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I would never be mean to you, Kevin. Actually, it pained me to even say that. I'm sorry.
Just wait till he comes back in studio.
I take it back. Okay.
We like mean
all
Caitlin,
right.
so that's okay.
Yeah. Nah, I like when she throws some jabs in there.
All
I
right,
do too.
y'all. Okay, so that was the preview for the next round, and it's time now. It's your spotlight.
Yeah.
The
It's Mamba's
camera's
social
on
sips.
you.
I don't have
Do you
any
have a
water.
drink out there?
It's okay.
Oh.
It's
I have a
the
salt
sips
shaker.
Well,
Yeah, that's
do
better.
that. Do that. It's the sips
Do the
from
salt shaker.
Unk's chair. All right. Okay, America. Welcome back to your favorite segment, Mamba's Social Sips. And we're going to start right here in Charlotte because there's a lot going on. And we don't really, there's a new culture of private racetracks that
Yeah.
are being built. And Mr. Hendrick, and Marcus Smith have decided to do a joint venture. They are building what they're calling 10 Tenths Motor Club. Okay. It's there's a inner loop, a 13 turn 1.1 mile course, and then a 19 turn 1.7 mile course. So there's actually 3 because the inner loop is like a half mile. And the capacity that it holds is 1,500 people.
It's cool.
I'm excited. We don't get new racetracks very often. It's right here in our backyard where we should have one where we can bring people. Kevin, bringing people from New York, Atlanta, LA to right here to Race City, USA. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And they literally had to build the racetrack around our property. So
that's cool for you.
When you say backyard, it is in the backyard.
It literally is.
So yeah, it literally is. So Marcus Smith and Rick Hendrick, I think when you look at this idea and you look at Marcus's vision of what Charlotte Motor Speedway is, and you see everything that happens with the Ford Performance Racing School inside of Charlotte Motor Speedway currently, and it is busy all the time. I can hear it from the shop. It's always running. They're racing legend cars over there in the summer. They've got Christmas lights getting ready to be put into the infield. So there is always something going on at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So to be able to have another road course to have these car enthusiasts with their garages and all the things that you can just mosey on out there and make some laps and will be fun to have. And I think that we live in an area that is car crazy, right? And you see all those exotic cars and all the things that they had on display of Mr. Hendricks. Those he's not the only one that likes cars. So I can't wait to hear and see all the different cars on the track.
So my dad's a car collector. He has a Ferrari, and he was at a Ferrari meeting, and they told them this, and he told me about it. And I go, no, that can't be. Like, my dad broke this news to me, and I thought he was just confused because he's a bit of an older gentleman. But I was like, that can't be right. Well, Dad, you're right. Good job.
That's awesome. Dads know. All right. The end of the Xfinity race.
Oh, boy.
A lot of controversy.
Yep.
Probably a little self-inflicted
On the caution
yeah.
flying.
So let's set it up here. So now this is the finish. That a lot of people thought that, not a lot of people, there was enough people in my DMs and on Twitter telling me that Sam Mayer ran through the 48. So before we talk about the other part, Kevin, is this a clean move or not? Is this a clean move, a clean pass or not?
I mean, it's not 100% clean, but it's perfectly clean to race for the win. I mean, it's not like he wiped the 48 car out. So I thought that move was fine, but I can't believe that was what your DM was filled with, because that was by far not the most popular story.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure that we talked about that. But going into
your DMs are idiots.
Well,
I'm just
you have no idea. But to get to this point, the caution that came out coming to the white, Parker Klingerman had the lead. He had done a great job, massive job for 10 or 15 laps, holding off fresher tires. Honey Leland, Honey.
I mean, we knew what you meant.
Yeah, you know what I meant. He
Leland Honeyman.
Leland Honeyman. Thank you. He blows the left front and gets buried into the tire barriers. I mean, deeper than we've ever seen before. And the caution takes 15 seconds more than it probably should have to come out.
Yeah.
And by the time it comes out, Parker it's like a half a foot
Almost
away
there.
from the line. Kevin, what do we got to do here?
I was distraught. I didn't even know what I was mad. And I look, the car was parked under the barrier. They could have thrown the caution 20 seconds earlier. And the fact that NASCAR said that they have a tough time seeing that area from up top in race control just blew me away. And I think if TV is showing it and they're not seeing it up there, then they need to get some more screens. They need to get some more spotters. They need to get something, because this was an absolute heartbreaker for Kligerman to be that close to winning the race and see when they threw the caution. I mean, the light came on like 2 car lengths before the start finish line, but should have come out way, 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 way before that. So, unfortunately, we've seen a lot of errors and a lot of questionable calls from race control, not only in this Xfinity race, but just in general. And you hate to see it for a guy who's buried so far into the barriers that you can hardly see his cars. Was there not a spotter in that corner from NASCAR? Surely there was. And if he didn't see the car go into the barriers and go all the way up underneath the barrier, I think you have to question that person that is standing there. But what a horrendous situation for everybody to be in, and the heartbreak for Kligerman. You wound up with a good finish, but definitely didn't take all the headlines.
Implications for Kligerman and the playoffs, because certain drivers who were going to advance, it was all different after that.
Yeah, I just hate that we have to talk about this now. At the same time, officiating in all sports comes up, especially in pressure situations. And I think Steve Letarte said it best to me. He said, everyone's level of excellence goes up in the playoffs and crunch time, whether it's the drivers, the crew chiefs. He's like, myself in the booth, and that means everybody. Officials, that's the whole official, everybody. So I think that's fair, and hopefully we just kind of keep. We gotta get
this out of the conversation.
Yeah, let's get that out of it. Let's just talk racing now. As I say that, we're gonna talk nothing to do with racing. I just thought this was really cool. All right, so there was a Starship rocket booster caught. Okay, here's Elon and their group. They sent a rocket. They brought it back down. So, Kevin, it's coming back down at a ridiculous rate of speed. Someone turns the throttle on and parks it right back where it launched from. Now, my question, so the whole thing about this is about them working on, commercial trips to the moon and Mars and whatever. Would you guys ever get on a rocket ship and take a trip to the moon if it was available?
I'll happily leave this planet right now.
Not me. There's no way I'm getting on that rocket. No freaking way.
Why not?
No way. No, man. I've taken enough risk in my life. I don't need to take any more risk.
That's fair. See, I haven't done what you've done your whole career. I'll take the risk. I'll go up to the damn moon.
You know why I knew Kevin was gonna bow out is because after he was in that fighter jet, he I remember him talking about that earlier this year. He wasn't doing that.
That's true.
I did not throw up in the fighter jet. I did not black out. We got to pull 9 Gs, so that was a plus, and I made the whole tank of fuel. So
there you go.
I don't know why would I need to get in the fighter jet again?
I just say I just knew you were gonna not.
You didn't answer though. Would you get on the rocket?
Hell yeah! Send me to the moon.
All right, Frank Sinatra.
So that's Frank Sinatra. All right, and now our last little bit. I know it's like Sips adjacent.
Sips adjacent. Good SAT word. Can you spell that?
No.
Okay, moving on.
No. The burnout. So Larson is changed his style of burnouts up a little bit, but the moment is really cool, and he had to even it up. Kevin, he's taking a page out of your book. You got to even it up with your kids.
Yeah,
like, what you do for one, you got to do for the other. So
that's right.
He does a burnout, and then here comes little Audrey out here, and she gets on top of the car just like Owen did, and it's awesome.
Hey, awesome. The best part about this is when you're winning as much as he is winning, and I've been fortunate to be in this position before. You can plan it out, and you can have all these things talked about and prepped, and ready to go with motorhome drivers and kids positioned, but what a cool moment for Kyle and Audrey to be able to drive that car to victory lane. Burnout, it was okay, but I think insignificant compared to to his daughter being on the door and being able to pull into victory lane and wave to the crowd and stand on the car and do all those things that Owen did. But did you see Owen's wreck? I know that
I did.
Yeah.
Kaitlyn was in person for Owen's flip that he had at the race this weekend. So gotta love the racing life. You got one in victory lane and one flipping upside down at the flag stand.
Crazy.
Unreal.
Yeah. I interviewed Kyle Larson at Hendrick Fan Day, actually, and he was talking about how he had just a lot of extra time with his daughter this week, doing the family thing, doing the dad thing. I always think it's cool when the drivers incorporate their kids like that.
Well, I forget what it was, but there was a piece of content that was made, and Kyle was talking about, I think it was the Dirt series, and he was talking about how he had to miss one of Audrey's games for something, and Kaitlyn was really like grilling him, and you could tell he really felt bad. So when he brought it up, I know he really cared a lot because he got to go to her baseball game this weekend.
And now they're going to Cabo.
Yeah, now they're going to Cabo.
They're going for a wedding, so they'll be
one thing that I thought was pretty interesting, and you talk about Kyle being able to spend more time. You notice he hasn't been racing a sprint car. You notice that it's just been. He's just laser focused on the Cup Series car right now and not doing any other racing. So, we see him all through the first part of the year and through the summer, and now we're in the playoffs and he's just focused on one particular car. And that seems to have been dangerous for the rest of the field.
Yeah, he did reference that that was a conscious decision to do less of that racing, obviously, to focus more on Cup. Okay.
Real quick, Kevin, I did Spire Fan Day this week, and there was a fan that came all the way from Iowa. She wanted me to let you know that she is your biggest fan, is trying desperately to meet you at a racetrack. Okay?
Vegas.
So I would say he'll be at Vegas in the first Fox races during next season. He'll be at all those too.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Get out of the racetrack.
Gotta love the Iowa fans.
Well, Iowa fans, they're real.
They're real. There's a lot of Kevin Harvick fans.
There's a lot of Kevin Harvick.
Okay, guys, it's time now for our last call. And this is where we choose who will be headed to Victory Lane in Las Vegas this weekend. So, Kevin, you do the honors first from the golf course.
Yeah, well, it's hard to go against Kyle Larson. He won the first race there. He dominated this last week. So I'm gonna stick with that Kyle Larson, Cliff Daniels train as they head back to Las Vegas.
I have that written down too. Don't be mad. I know you hate when I pick who you pick, but sometimes great minds think alike.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we're going on a limb, but I do have to go back-to-back Kyle Larson Vegas victories.
At some point, we're going to need to do a graph of how many times you picked the 5, he's picked the 11. Like, you guys just do the same.
Because when I pick the 5, he wins. Remember? Twice now.
Well, he's won 6 times.
But I'm just saying.
Okay, fair. I'm going to go with C. Bell. I'm going with Christopher Bell.
Love that.
I think he has like 2 poles or 3 poles here. It seems like every time we go to Vegas, he's starting on the front row. So C. Bell in Victory Lane.
Okay, we'll have to see
I like it.
How those drivers fare in Vegas. So we don't have a victory lap this week because obviously Kevin's busy with charity work today, but we'll have Bob Pockrass shortly. We will be interviewing the infamous Bob Pockrass for our Thursday episode. We all love him and admire him, so this should be good, right, Kevin?
Yes. It's fun to be able to have Bob in the studio. I hate that I'm not there to be able to hear all the insight that he has, but he keeps us informed, and I think it's going to be fun. There's never a dull Bob moment.
Never a dull Bob moment.
Is there one thing that you want us to ask him for you?
Well, yeah, I think that I want to hear Bob's insight on what he thinks of the appeal process, if there will be one, what he's hearing about the 48 scenario, because he usually has some pretty good insight.
He usually knows exactly what's going on.
He knows what's up. That is for sure. Well, that does it for us on this edition of Happy Hour. Kevin, I hope you have a great time at your charity event there in Mooresville. And make sure you continue to rate the podcast 5 stars, leave a review, and we will see all of the closers after Las Vegas.